Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you for having me as a guest, and looking forward to further um, podcasts with you as
Yes.
we build and enlighten our community. So,
Yes, yes. I love that. Keyword community. That's what it's
yes.
all about. So, I'm going to start us off, you guys. Today is going to be a little bit different. Like this podcast is all about wellness, mental health, self growth, development, all of that, and having those conversations. And in this one, we're going to add a little bit of finance into it. And I think this is important for everyone that's either, struggling with money or having challenges, or you can be having not such a hard time with money, but maybe looking for ways to have better management with your money or different avenues. You never know. So let's start off with the first question.
Okay.
So, excited. What does breaking generational cycles mean to you? And when did you realize it was something you needed to do? And before you answer that question, today's episode is breaking generational patterns. Woo, so that should give you a hint on how the rest of this show is going to be like. Yeah, so let me repeat that question. What does breaking generational cycles mean to you? And when did you realize it was something you needed to do?
That is an absolutely great, phenomenal question, right? So cycles are patterns, right? So the way that we break it, you first have to recognize there is a pattern, right?
Right.
We live by patterns. So you have to look at your life. The patterns that you are living by, are they taking you to your destinations, right? So when we look at patterns, we look at it when we talk about habits. What are your habits? Are you waking up early? Are you meditating? Are you praying? Are you exercising? Do you have goals? So the patterns that you are living by, are they taking you to your destination? And that includes finances, right? So when you look at the habits that you are displaying, how you managing money, your beliefs, because your patterns can derive from your beliefs, right? So growing up in my household, there was never enough money, right? So we hear the term, oh, money doesn't grow on tree, or there's when you ask, I don't have it, right? So that mentality, that scarcity mindset that we have to recognize that and say, hey, okay, it may run in my family, poverty may run in my family, but until it hit me. So it's not going to go through me, it's going to stop with me. So you have to recognize the patterns that you have, the cycles. And when you look at your parents, your grandparents, what kind of life did they live, and what kind of life did they pass on to you, right? Again, from a Caribbean household, we were told go to school, get good grade, and get a job, but they never said that that path, right, would take you to success or to wealth, to financial stability. So you have to recognize, okay, I love my parents, I love my grandparents, but they didn't do financially well. So I need to take out other avenues, look at other avenues, and change that pattern. And I changed my direction, I would say about like like 10 years ago, actually, 10 years ago. I was working for a company 14 years, and I was barely making, ends meet. So I went to school, got a better degree, thinking I would get a better job, but that didn't happen. I had to move away. I had to break away from that company that I thought was secure. And we need to be able to get out of our comfort zone, right? So getting
Yes.
getting the financial freedom that you need, that you deserve, you're gonna have to get out of your comfort zone, right? Rubber band needs meant to be stretched. If it's not
Yeah.
stretching, it's not performing at its highest peak. We need to stretch. You need to get out of your comfort zone. So I had to move away, right, to get that higher paying job. And later on recognize that, oh no, I want to control my own destiny. But again, my parents, the Caribbean parents, you work 40 years for a company and expect to retire. And when the retirement has changed, pension has changed. So I had to recognize, okay, the path that I'm taking in my career, it's not going to take me to my financial destination. So you have to recognize where you are. You have to assess where you are. And is the vehicle you are currently using, is it going to take you to your destination?
Wow. And I think a lot of us can relate to that, especially folks that are from the Caribbean. Like a lot of my viewers are from the Caribbean, whether that's like Jamaica or from the islands, Haiti. And we weren't taught financial literacy because they weren't taught financial literacy. What they were taught was survival mode. And so that is what they bestowed on us. And we don't learn until life hits us, and we're at a point where, oh no, this is not the kind of life that I want to live. I don't want to have to be struggling for a check or living paycheck to paycheck. I want to be able to enjoy my money as well. And so, yeah, we can relate to that at all. And I'm glad that you can speak to us today and educate us. Yes. So my next question, were there any financial mindsets or habits in your family that you had to unlearn? And what was that process like for you?
Again, money doesn't go on tree. Actually, it does. Because money is made out of paper. Where does paper come from, right? So, again, is that lack? Oh, I don't have it. Trying to hang on to what they have instead of making it work. The biggest thing, the biggest pitfall in our community is that they think that they have to save everything. They have to hold on to everything. Money is a currency. And from currency, we see current. There's no current without flow. It has to flow. Money is movement, right? So we have to learn how to make our money work for us instead of working hard for our money. And I think that was the biggest mindset. I always thought, of course, seeing, my network, my surrounding, right? Okay, you work hard. You work 40, 50 hours. I want that extra 2 hours, 3 hours overtime so I can make a little bit more money. So we're working so hard for our money, but I had to learn, no, I need to make my money work for me. The money is not supposed to be sitting in the bank and doing nothing. It's supposed to be moving. It's supposed to be working for you. You should be in a position to make money while you're sleeping.
And, that can be scary for a lot of people that have been taught to just save their money or don't know how to use their money. Like, it's almost as it's taking a risk. And it is taking a risk at times, but it's like, it can be scary because is that money going to come back to me?
But that's where education comes in. Knowledge, right? Knowledge is the new currency. Knowledge is power. Because we want to hang on to it because we don't know. We are afraid of the unknown. But once you are properly educated, right? Once you know, okay, there are some investments that I should not do. There are some things I shouldn't get involved with. But again, with risk, there's reward, right? But building wealth, there are risks. And you have to take calculated risk. And I think sometimes that's what we don't want to do. Or we see risk, but we don't also take into consideration the reward that can come from that risk.
Yeah. Still scary. But it's worth it.
Yes, it's that
it's
mindset.
Worth it.
It's
yes.
that mindset. Again, do your due diligence.
Right.
So don't, your friend comes, hey, I find this new best thing. Okay, let's put your money. No, do your due diligence. Is it a reputable company, right? Is your money protected? And, can you trust the company that you're doing business with? Yeah. Again, do your due diligence. Whatever that it is that you are doing, whether it's the stocks, crypto, or whatever. Even banks, if you're moving your money from one bank to another, look at how stable are they, right? Life is about risk, but if you don't risk anything, then you won't get the reward.
Yeah. Yes, you're absolutely right. Moving forward, how do our early experiences with money shape the way we handle it as adults?
Again, we're talking about that generational cycle,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we see our moms, our parents, grandparents, either they put the money on the mattress, right? That's what we do, put it in their bra, and we think that's the right thing to do. But again, recognizing, okay, it happens with your parents. And of course, we honor our parents.
Mm-hmm.
We know that they know best, right? Until we reach that point and say, okay, there has to be a better way. Okay, so I see you worked 40 hours, 40 years, and you are 67, you're still working. So that's when we need to be self-cognizant and realize, okay, something is wrong. That is not how I want to live, right? They were passed on to you because they educated you, they raised you, right?
Yeah.
And your parents are your role models. But you have to recognize, okay, would I want to trade life with them? Do I want to be 70 and working? Then that's when you have to go and self-educate. Okay, what can I do differently than my parents, than my grandparents, than my aunties, so that I'm not working at 65, 70, 75, and still broke,
Yeah.
right? So again, they're going to pass them on to you, but you have the right not to accept them.
Yeah.
You have the right not to accept them. You have the right to rebuke them, to reject them. But understand, they will affect you
Yeah.
because do what I say.
Yeah.
Do what I say. Hey, you go to school, okay, put your money in the bank. But they don't know how the banks work. If you ask your mom, okay, what does the bank do with your money? Does she know? No. So again, self-education. Recognize that, okay, I love my parents, but I do not want to trade life with them currently. I want to live my best life. I want to retire at 55, not at 65, at 70. Then you have to do the opposite of what they did.
Yeah. And I feel like the school system kind of failed us in a way because they don't share that type of knowledge to really set us up for the outside world, or not even in the inside world, to train us up so that we can be fully prepared for what's to come or what it is that we're planning for in our future. And so where exactly can young folks, like in their early 20s till 30s, starting from early 20s, where can they seek out information like this? Financial literacy, finances, learning how to budget, learning how to save, learning how to invest, because you can't save all of your money. You need to be able to invest into something. So where can they find this type of knowledge? Because they're not sharing this knowledge in school.
Again, we look up to government to do everything for us. It's not the government's job. Again, it starts at home, right? Because if financial education was taught in school, everybody would be rich, right? And I think that's what they're afraid of, that they don't teach it, right? Certain schools, like very few, I think 8% of the schools in U.S., teach the basics of financial literacy. How to write a check, how to balance a checkbook, right? How to budget. So it is up to us. Again, seek counsel, advisors, right? There are many groups and organizations that do provide the individual financial literacy. People like myself in the field, right? And there are a lot of financial professionals like myself that provide free financial literacy. The churches, many churches have that. So it's a matter of connecting with your community, right? We right here in the library, they have some financial literacy. So it's a matter of you have to search for it. That's where self-education come in. So you have to self-educate. Unfortunately, when it comes to financial literacy, if your parents did not inherit that, again, we're talking about generational cycle. Some people live in a household, they talk about money at the diner table. Us, we don't even sit at the dining room table.
Yeah.
Right? So they have the monthly meetings, right? They have businesses, they involve their kids in their businesses, right?
Yeah.
Growing up, I couldn't even tell my dad how much money you have, ask him how much money you have in the bank. It wasn't my business, right? They said, okay, you know, you are a child, what do you know? It's like, it's none of your business. So again, if it's not, you know, if you're not in the environment, right, to learn it, right? Again, what we advise, right? Study people. Say, hey, you know, it's like, okay, Oprah, she grew up poor. Now look at her. She's a multi-billionaire, billionaire. Okay, what did she do? We have to put ourselves in positions to study those who have gone before us and who are successful, right? Because success leaves clues. And most successful people, they don't hide how they acquired that success. They're willing to share. So again, mindset, you have to shift your mindset. I need to learn. I need to do better. You know, I do not want to be in the same position I was like 10, 15, 20 years ago. Because if you look, if you keep doing the same things that you were doing 5, 10, 15 years ago, do you expect something to change? No. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same
results. Right.
Right? So you have mindset and position yourself to learn. Seek advice, seek counseling, right? So the resources are out there. We're just not looking.
Right.
YouTube University. You can start there.
YouTube University.
Yes.
You can never go wrong with YouTube University.
So again, you know, be mindful of, you know, what you applying, but you know, seek counsel, multiple sources of information. Books. Listen, the greatest thing is books. And there was one family member that says, right, let's put things in books because they don't expect us to read them. The information that we need, somebody has written about it, but we're just not reading. We prefer to scroll, Netflix. Pick up a book on finances, you know, how money works, a great book. You know, the books that we should be reading, like, you know, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, right? So pick a book instead of scrolling or watching Netflix because the information is there.
Yes, I have this app called Audible, and I think every month they give you one credit.
One credit for $15.
Yeah, I don't get it, but I had a credit. They was going to give it away, and I thought, oh, well, let me get me a book. And I looked on my saved, and I seen that I have this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Everyone should read that book. Everyone. But you could have saved that credit because it's the full audio is on YouTube. But listen, there is nothing better than having that book, just like the Bible in print. You need to have in print. It's great listening to it, but having the actual book.
Yeah,
because it's funny.
I prefer the actual book.
It's funny you said that. So hopefully they're not watching us or listening. So that's one of the books I'm going to give to my class tomorrow.
Oh wow!
Yes.
Yes.
So that's
oh my goodness.
Yes. So
that's crazy how that. Okay.
Everybody. So me giving it out to them, I've read it, I've listened to it. Guess what? I'm reading it again, and guess what? I'm picking up new nuggets because there are certain books you cannot read them once and then put it down. You have to read it over and over again. That's funny you mentioned that. Yeah. That's a book everyone should read, just like the Bible.
Wow.
I think Think and Grow Rich is the number 2 bestseller of all times, besides the Bible.
Wow.
Yes. You know, I think I read that or heard that.
Oh my goodness.
So yes. So everyone listening here, if you have not listened or read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, run and pick you a copy. You have to read it. If you are looking to improve yourself.
Yeah.
Right? Self-development is huge in breaking generational cycles. You have to know how to lead yourself better,
Yeah.
right? So you have to develop self, and that's one of the first book that everyone should be reading if you're looking to develop yourself.
Wow, it's a great thing I got the book
Yes.
because I seen and spoke to and heard of a lot of successful people say that they've read this book. This was like their holy grail. That's what started it all. And I'm like, okay, well, let me save this book, and when I get like the money for it, but thankfully I had like a credit, I got the book, and wow.
Yes.
So that's great. I'm
have you started
get my
listening to it?
Yes, I have started listening
Okay.
to it this morning.
Good.
Yes. And I've also heard about Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think there was like in college, in my English class, we had to do like a paper on that book. We didn't delve deep into it. It was more like a writing assignment. And I'm like, this is actually a good book on money.
Rich Dad, Poor
Wait a
Dad.
minute.
Yes.
And so I told myself I need to invest in this book one of these days because it has some good nuggets in there. So
yeah, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Every kid in high school, don't even wait till college, should read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and Think and Grow Rich.
yeah. All right, you guys, you heard that. So go ahead, look up Think and Grow Rich, Poor Dad, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It will benefit you in the long run, especially financially. Okay. What are some patterns you commonly see in your clients that stem from generational financial trauma?
Trauma. Wow. Again, the mindset. My parents did this. My parents saved. They did not invest, right? Or my parents only worked for someone else. You know, no one displayed business owner entrepreneurship. So they have in their mind they can't do it because they didn't see someone display that as a role model for them.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times when I'm sitting down with my teammates, I don't think I can be a business owner. Yes, you can be a business owner. Actually, if you are looking to build wealth, 9 to 5 is not going to do it for you. You can have your 9 to 5, but you need to have something. Jim Rohn says your 9 to 5 will make you a living, but your 5 to 9 will make you a fortune. I say it again. Your 9 to 5 will make you a living because you can get a paycheck, right? But your 5 to 9 will make you a fortune because that's where you work on yourself for you, right? So building your wealth. When you work in a 9 to 5, you're building somebody else's wealth.
That's the first time I heard that phrase.
9 to 5, you are building somebody else's empire.
Right. Mm-hmm.
How do you build your own empire? It's be able to control your schedule, your time, and your money. Jim Rohn is someone else that you should be listening to.
Jim Rohn?
Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn. Okay. What does he do exactly?
He was one of the best motivational speaker. He mentored Tony Robbins, Les Brown.
Oh, I love Les Brown.
Yes. So he's the mentor of the mentors. Let's put it this way. He's the coach of the coaches. Okay. But he's passed on since, right? So definitely, if you are looking to build self-discipline, oh my God, yes, Jim Rohn.
Jim Rohn. Okay.
Yes. His last name is Rhon. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to look into him.
Listen.
And Les Brown. Oh.
We need to do things differently.
Yes.
We cannot just be on YouTube playing games. No, we have to study those who are successful, those who have reached the destination that for the journey we are on. We're all on a journey. Okay, what is your purpose? So you need to study. If you don't have that role model in your home, so you need to study those who have the experience, who have the success, and be able to learn from them. Yes, so credit, it's a whole topic in its own, right? Maybe we can come back and talk just about credit, how to build, how to manage it. So your parents, again, not knowing, probably no one ever taught them how to leverage credit. But you need good credit to buy a house, to buy a car. But how do you build that? So you have to start somewhere. You have to have a contract with someone and be able to keep up with that contract, maintain that contract, for them to say, you know what, okay, I give them $1,000. They respected themselves. They paid on time. They paid what was due. They didn't linger. Okay, I'm going to extend credit to them. Again, your credit report is a true testament of your character. Because when lenders are looking at your credit report, they can say, okay, she's always late, so she's not organized, right? She is too much over her head. She cannot, manage her finances. No, I'm not going to give you any more money. You cannot manage the little thing that you have. Why am I going to give you more money? But again, if you learn from the beginning, hey, you need a credit card, whether it's for emergency or to build, because you need to have rotating activities or transactions on your credit report, right? So somebody says, okay, how do I start? Sometimes you may have to buy a line of credits, right?
Yeah.
You can start with a prepaid credit card. Go to your bank. I'm going to give you $500. They give you a credit card for $500. Again, I always say when you are building, do not go out and spend the whole $500. Maybe 25, 50, and then pay it. And then after a year, after the bank sees that you are consistent, you were never late, and you didn't go over your limit, or it did not even reach, 50% of your allowed amount. I always encourage my clients, don't use no more than 30%, right? You want to stay within 10 to 30%. If you go over, once you start going over 50, then it starts really affecting your credit, right? Again, those are the things that we need to learn. Unfortunately, they didn't teach those things in school, so you have to go out there and self-educate.
Right.
Because, hey, if you don't educate yourself, the price of ignorance is much higher. You gotta educate yourself. Start small. If you don't have a credit card and you don't have the credit, because if you want to buy a house, do you have the cash? If you want to buy a car, do you have $20,000, $30,000? So you're gonna need credit, unless you have a rich dad, rich uncle that's gonna pay it for you. But listen, we live in a country, in a society that we need credit. Learning about it, that's the first thing to do.
What are some other ways to build credit?
Again, you can do line of credit. Your parents, if they have a lot of the elites and they inform what they do, they put their kids on their credit cards. Start building, give them that history, because you build your credit based on history. That's why I tell people, if you have a card, even if it has a zero balance, you're not technically using it, don't close it, because once you lose that history, it will affect your credit. So if you don't have credit and you want to build, your parents can help you build. They can add you as a user. You don't have to ever use it, but as long as they are good with that credit card, guess what? Whatever that score is, you can get it. You can buy a line of credit. There's a jewelry club. At one point when I didn't have good credit or I need to increase my rotating activities, I got a $5,000 line of credit from a jewelry club. You pay $99 for it, and then they show that you have $5,000 credit with them. And you buy small things and then have that revolving. So what really helps is having revolving activities on your account. Paying on time and not going over your limit.
So what if the parent doesn't do well on the credit, but they have their kids on the credit, would that also affect
Yes.
the kids? I saw something online where
Yes.
this guy, he tried to buy a house and he couldn't really get that. The person that was trying to sell him the house looked up like their credit history and seen that they had owned money for something that they had nothing to do with, and it was because the mother had claimed him on, I believe, the credit but never paid it.
Yeah.
And so he had to pay that money.
Yes.
Or he owed that money.
Yes, it can affect you positively and also negatively if your
What
parents
do we
have
do?
you. There's not much you can do because you are, as a user, you can go through the process, say, hey, my parents put me on it, and have them remove you, then you won't have that history, right? So either way, so only parents who know that they're going to be abiding, to the contract and keeping up with the payments should do that. So again, you can hurt your child if your credit is not good or you can't keep it and you put them on. So yeah, because that credit becomes yours.
Oh man. So there's pros and cons
Absolutely.
to getting
Yes.
a credit card. But it's as long as you educate yourself, one, on credit cards and credit, but two, having discipline and management skills.
Money management, yes.
Okay. So that helps. So if you don't have great management skills and you're not too knowledgeable on credit card, don't get so excited when you see that amount. Go and do your due diligence and do your research before getting a credit card because it can be damaging.
Yep. And it gets tempting because it comes in your mail. So don't
yes,
get tempted.
all the time.
Don't get tempted if you know that you cannot handle it. You don't have the proper foundation, right? You don't have the proper financial foundation to manage that $500, that $1,000, that $2,000 credit card. If you're already in debt, if you are struggling, you should not get that credit card. If you don't have any emergency funds, you shouldn't have that credit card. It's gonna hurt you more.
Horrible. A lot of people, young people especially. And why does that even happen? Why do they send credit cards in the mail? I feel like that's kind of like a setup or a trap. Oh, you have this amount of money,
so it's
$5,000.
It's a pre-approval, so it's not a real credit card. So they send you a pre-approval. Then you call and you give them your social, then they will run your credit, right? So let's say that you went to buy a car and they run your credit. So when they run your credit, like almost everybody else in that field can see that they pull your credit. So they're all going to come to you and say, hey, I can help you. And then they're going to start sending you those offers, especially if you got approved, if you had good credit, and you got approved for a good rate. So then they're going to send you those things. Because unfortunately, your information is shared, whether you know it or not, with other institutions. Because when you go to run your credit for a car, apply for a car, guess what? Even though you may have gotten the loan with Bank of America, but guess what? 50,000 other banks got that same request. So when you go apply for a car loan, it gets sent out to multiple banks.
Oh wow!
And they get to look at your profile and see if you are someone that they want to do business with.
So, is that what's called a hard credit pull? Is that why it's a hard credit pull because of all these banks are looking into it?
Yes.
Oh no. That's not good.
Yeah. But you can there are some, but it comes off after 2 years, right? The hard pull comes off. They have to do it, otherwise you cannot get the loan, right? That's just the industry. There are some ways that you can remove it if it's hurting you. Yeah. But one hard inquiry shouldn't hurt you if you have, good credit. If you don't, that's 4, 5, 6 points that you're losing. Because, every time they pull your credit, right?
Yeah.
You're at risk of losing points.
Yeah.
But one thing people don't know is that, so let's say that you're shopping for a car, right? So that hard inquiry, if another auto dealership pulls it, it doesn't hurt you. So that's why if you're trying to buy something, try to do within 30 days so that you'll get one inquiry for that 30 days. So 2 or 3 other banks can pull it, it won't hurt you.
Okay.
Okay.
Wow. This is really good. Free knowledge.
Free knowledge.
Okay. So, what are 3 financial moves you believe every young person of color should make in their 20s or 30s to set themselves up long term?
Okay, great question. And that can be applied to everybody, anybody, right? But definitely, acquire knowledge, self-educate. You have to have an emergency funds. And that has to be at least 3 to 6 months worth of expenses. Because, 85% that we're talking about in America, 85% of people working in America are one paycheck away from poverty, from bankrupt, from becoming homeless, because we don't have that emergency fund. The average person does not have $1,000 in savings for an emergency. So you need to have 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses. And living expenses is your rent, your car, your food, right? Because you need shelter, transportation, food, and utilities. So you need to have at least that. You need to start saving, even if it's $100 a month, whatever you can do. And going back to budgeting, you need to know what you're bringing in. You need to know what your expenses are. So you cannot be living above your means. What gets us in trouble is we tend to live like the Joneses, living above our means. We're making $3,000, but we're living a lifestyle, $4,000 lifestyle. So there's a disconnect, right?
Yeah.
And then we say our money is funny. No, we're funny because we're not, right? We're not budgeting. We're eating out. We're swiping without any tracking system. Right? So you need to track. Because if whatever you're not tracking, you can't attack.
Right.
So budgeting. So 3 to 6 months of expenses.
Yeah.
At least $1,000 in emergency funds. Gotta have that.
Yeah.
Savings. Start small, right? Small beginnings will lead to big reward. Start small, even if it's $10, but it has to be done consistently.
Yeah.
Because what kills us is inconsistent in anything that we do.
Yes.
So save something based on your budget consistently and start investing, right? Whether it's, if you are in your 20s, you should be if you are working in a company that offers a 401k and they give you a match, you need to be contributing to that. Because guess what you have on your side? Time. 45, 50, 60. No, you need to look at other strategies to protect and build your money.
Yeah.
But if you're in your 20s or 30s, you should be putting that money away, because over time it will compound. And that's another thing people don't understand, the how compounding interests work, how time compounds, right? So you need to start saving, start investing. And not too high risky investment, right? If you are saving, try to save on high yield interest.
High yields.
Yes.
So, and what is that exactly?
So for your savings account, the average bank is giving you maybe 1% or 2%, but there are some banks right? A lot of them are online that can give you 4 to 6% on interest on your money. So you have to look for that bank, that vehicle that's giving you at least 4 to 6% interest. It could be short term, right? A lot of them are introductory promotions, but get that for the 1 year and find somebody else who's giving you 4 to 6% the next year and move that money, right? Sometimes we're afraid to move our money. We become loyal to the banks. No, don't be loyal to the banks. They're not loyal to you, right? They're using your money to build wealth. So handle your money.
Right.
Make managing your money your business, right? And not let the banks manage it for you, because they make money off of you and they don't care about you. They don't. They don't
Truly.
care. They do not care about you. So find that, some credit unions, they are better than your big banks, right?
Yeah.
Everyone should have a relationship with a credit union because they give you better rates when you're buying car, when you're buying house, right? And when you bank with a small bank, it's almost as you have your own personal banker. You can go in and get to know who's serving you, and they get to know you, right? Whereas when you walk into Bank of America, it's like they don't know you. They don't care to know you, right? Because they're not community banks. They're not looking to build community. So credit union.
Is credit union not like a bank?
They are
What
banks.
is credit union
They
exactly?
are banks, but they are more focused on community building.
Okay.
Right? So they are not, their primary goal is not really to make money off of your money, right? They care for you better than the bigger banks, right? A lot of the credit unions, you don't have to have $1,000 or $500 minimum, right? So their fees. So one thing that really hurt us in getting financial stability are fees. So look for a bank that's not charging you a monthly fee. Bank of America, if you don't have a direct deposit, they're charging you $12 a month. That adds up.
Yeah.
So look at
Yes.
banks. And then the other thing that kills us, subscriptions. Do you need that Hulu?
Stacking up those subscriptions at Netflix, Disney Plus.
Do you need them? Are they really serving you? Are they serving you?
They're really not.
You're building somebody else's empire,
Right.
somebody else's wealth while you are struggling, right? So look at the fees, even the credit cards. Some credit cards don't charge you an annual fee. You want to look for something that doesn't charge you an annual fee.
Yeah.
The interest rate. So some of the credit unions, they don't charge you no more than 18%, whereas the average interest rate with your main credit card companies are 24, 29%. So you have to, get in the nitty-gritty, the numbers.
Yeah.
Know the numbers, right? When you go into a relationship with your bank, what is my interest rate that I'm paying? What is the interest rate I'm getting on my money, right?
Yeah.
So that's where the high yield comes in. So find banks, and most of them are online, right?
Yeah.
Giving you the above what the traditional banks are giving you. And then investing, start small, right? But it will compound over time.
Yeah, I have an online bank. I bank with Viro. I feel like online banking have a lot more benefits than like the main banks like Bank of America or
they have less overhead, right? They're not brick and mortar. They're not paying the real estate. They're not paying a mortgage, so they are able to offer you better deals. Again, look for banks that is not charging you a monthly fee.
Right.
Because it adds up. It adds up.
Yes. So I was going to tell like this embarrassing story that I have back in college. Something that I did unknowingly without thinking of how like it would affect me. All those refund checks that I was getting, I was saving them I think the only investment that I made with that refund was getting myself a laptop because I was majoring in music and I needed the music to get my softwares and to do all that stuff and schoolwork and everything. But something else I also did was get snacks. They had a vending machine, like 2 vending machines in the music building, and every day I would go there, I would get me a few snacks. Like $1.25, I didn't think it was nothing. It was just $1 or $2. Get myself a snack, get myself a drink, and I would do that every day. Every time I would go to the music building, sometimes I would stay late nights because I really wanted to work on my craft. And then one time, my money, my card declined, and I'm like, I have all this money. I've been saving all of my refund checks. I literally do nothing with my refund checks. And then I looked and it said 0. And I'm like, why does it say 0 balance? I'm getting like a little panic attack because I know I saved my money. The only investment I made with this money is my laptop. Like, so where did this money go? And then they had like what's it called?
Statement?
Yes, they had a statement and they read back the statements and all it said was vending machine, $1.25, vending machine, $1.25. And it just kept on going and going, and I just felt my heart crushing. Like, I spent all this money on vending machine snacks. I could not believe it. I won't even say the amount that I even had. And when you get refund checks, you get
it's a good amount.
Yes, it's a good amount.
And you think you're the only one? No, you're not the only one, because
I could not believe it.
We're not tracking. We're just swiping. We're not tracking. If you're not tracking, you can't attack it. And you probably were not looking at, okay, I have money, but again, you're not subtracting what you have. Because what's going out is not coming back in. So again, I'm sure you were not the only one. So I'm sorry that happens to you, but you were not the only one. I'm sure there were many others in that same boat, because again, most of us, we have the card and we think we have infinite money. No, money is not infinite.
I couldn't believe it. Like, what? I was that, like, I wasn't thinking, but that really affected me really bad. Wow. Like, I can't believe I spent all this money on snacks. Snacks. Are you serious? But yeah, I didn't track my money, so that was the thing. I didn't track it. I wasn't looking back at my balance or my bank or anything. I was just whoop, 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 whoop every day throughout the day. So bad habit. You guys, make sure you track your money, because $1.25 can add up. Those little 35 cents, it all adds up. So I learned my lesson that day.
God, you did.
So moving forward to the next question. I believe most of these questions relate to all of the answers that you've already said, because you touched on a lot so much that it completely covered most of the questions that I had. So, but that's a great thing.
Okay, good.
That's a great thing.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. So, let's go with this question. How can someone support their family financially without sacrificing their own goals or future?
Say it again. You shouldn't be. Listen. Why are you supporting your family? First of all, okay, why? Right? So, yes, we are to give. We have to be generous, but we cannot give out of empty bottle. Okay? If you are not where you're supposed to be financially, there are times you will have people who fall into hard times, due to no fault of their own. Yes, but you need to be mindful. How and why are you supporting that person? Is this person able-bodied that can work? The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm supposed to bring that up.
But hey, no, you can. Yes, you can.
I'm a woman of faith, so yes. So I will bring it up. So, hey, we had it good, but Our forefather Adam fell with, and he was cursed. You have to work the ground in order to eat.
Right.
So if there are anyone who is able to work,
Mm-hmm.
who has the legal right to work, you need to be working.
Right.
Okay? And let me tell you something. Yes, there's something you can do out there. There are many unfilled jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we are commended to take care of our family. It's biblical.
Yeah.
If they can't, right? So, but you cannot jeopardize your own future
Mm-hmm.
at the risk of somebody else, at the expense of somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes, I support my family in Haiti, but I'm not going to not pay my own bills to support
Right.
somebody else,
Right.
right? If it's hurting you financially, and if it's something that you're not obligated to do, you need to stop.
I used to feel bad. Like a lot of
Yeah.
us, when we do that, or we all of a sudden like stop, we get like looked at in the wrong way, or we're looked at as like the bad person now. Like, oh, you've been helping me and now you stop. Or some of us are the oldest in the family, and that's like expected of us. And so sometimes I feel bad, like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be
I wouldn't
helping
say
families.
stop suddenly. Like if it's someone that you've been helping, whatever it's for gas, if it's
Mhm.
whatever you're paying their phone bills or whatever, have a conversation, communication, right?
Yeah.
Say, hey, I know things were bad for you like 6 months ago, and I say I would help you pay your phone,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been 6 months. I've been paying for it for you.
Right.
I can do it next month, but after that I can't because I have my own things or whatever the reason may be. Let them know. Okay, hey, person say, oh, I'm still not working. Okay, you know what? Okay, let's work on something. Let's come up with a strategy where you can work. If you are able, if you have the legal rights, let me help you with a resume. Let me put in a referral for you. Let's go apply online. Again, if the person is of sound mind, is not disabled, able to work,
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't be taking care of them,
Mm-hmm.
regardless, right? So if they don't make enough money, so let's get a trade. Let's help you get more money. You have a car, go do Uber, go do DoorDash.
Yeah.
Again, every one of us will find us in a place, in a situation where we have to support, we have to help somebody.
Mm-hmm.
But before you go into that relationship with them, have something in writing, have a strategy. Hey, okay, yeah, I understand you just lost your job. Hey, you need the hand up. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you for 3 months. I'm going to give it to you for 6 months, right? But if you yourself is struggling, why take on somebody else's?
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Right? And
Right.
you're not obligated to,
Right.
right? So I know a lot of times people come to us, okay, no, lend me this, so I give it back. I don't lend money. You ask me, you ask to lend, to borrow $200. You know what? I cannot give you $200, but I don't have $200 to lend you, but I can give you $50
Mm-hmm.
because I don't expect it back,
Right.
right? So the power of no. It's. I know it's hard. It's hard to say
Mm-hmm.
no, but let's say it with me. No.
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 No. It's okay to say no.
It's okay to say no. It is
Right.
okay, right?
Mhm.
So, and they'll be all right.
Yeah.
Because the other thing you have to look at, okay, if the coin was flipped, if the situation was flipped, would they
Mhm.
have done it for you?
Right.
And a lot of
A lot of times. Mm-hmm.
that's not the case.
Right.
So why put yourself in a position that you're helping someone who wouldn't do the same for you?
Mm-hmm.
Or you end up hurting yourself
Right. Yeah.
in the end. So we need to stop enabling able bodies. You know,
Ooh,
Get
that's
a
a word.
Get a job.
Period. So it's okay to say no. You're not a bad guy. You're not the bad guy because you say no. You're looking out for yourself, and you're also looking out for them as well, so that they don't get used to depending on other people or depending on you. They can take that initiative on working for themselves.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's good. Okay. If someone listening feels overwhelmed and behind financially, I can feel overwhelmed sometimes, especially when it comes to budgeting. What's the very first thing you tell them to do today?
Take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath. Relax.
Mm-hmm.
You're not behind. You're just getting started.
Oh.
You're not behind. Take a deep breath. Assess the situation. Acknowledge where you currently are at.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I think in AA, the first step to sobriety is acknowledge that you have a problem. Okay. My money is funny, but let me see where's that funniness? Where's that stinkiness coming from? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Take a deep breath. Assess what you have. Assess the situation. How did we get there? And come up with a strategy how you're going to get out. And that was taught with, okay, the income, how much money I'm bringing in, how much is going out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. And the first thing you do, like bare minimum, just the basics. No eating out, no Uber, no Starbucks, no nothing. Go to Aldi's. If you have an Aldi's around you, don't sleep on Aldi, okay? Don't sleep on Aldi.
Aldi is great.
Switch from the Publix, the Wendy's,
Walmart.
Walmart.
Walmart was not bad.
Yeah, I don't
Wait,
shop
yeah.
Walmart. I don't like Walmart, but I go to Aldi's. Go to Aldi's. Cook. Prep your meals.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, your income, your expenses, tracking. You have to track it. You have to track it. One thing that we don't like to do, we don't like to acknowledge our debts. You have to. So what I encourage my client to do besides a budget, you gotta write down your debts, your personal loans, okay, and come up with a strategy. There are two ways to get out of two methods that you can utilize to eliminate debt. Mm-hmm. The snowball or the avalanche, right? Mm-hmm. The snowball is you have all of your credit cards, all of your debts, right? Smallest to largest, and the avalanche is highest interest to lowest, right? Mm-hmm. The highest may be small, may be big, the amount owed, right? So most people adapt the snowball because it is more rewarding, right? You start with the small, okay, yes, I did this, and then you pat yourself on the back. Mm-hmm. Don't go out and have the ice cream, no more spending. But, I have a budget. Do the bare minimum, right? Allocate every dollar. One thing that the reason why our money is not staying with us, because we don't allocate, we don't give them a job to do. You need to give a task to every dollar that comes in. Mm-hmm. Again, that is through the budgeting, whether, it's like, hey, savings, paying yourself first, giving back to your church, giving back to your community, right? But do the bare minimum until you can breathe. Track. And hey, okay, am I making enough income? You may have to get you a second job to get out of debt, right? Get a side business. But there are a lot of side businesses that you can do that cost you almost nothing to get in, right? So you have to assess your current situation, go to the bare minimum, do a budget, acknowledge your debts, make sure that they are in front of you every day. Mm-hmm. Have a plan to get out of debt.
Yeah.
And stay out of debt. right? Then you can save. Have that emergency fund, right? A lot of people invest.
Yeah.
They're investing in crypto. They're investing in this, and they have an amount, like a mountain of debt. Why are you investing and you have debt where you're getting 29, 30% interest? They're charging you. So is that investment making you 50%? Not. There's no investment out here making you 50% return.
Yeah.
Pay your debt first,
Especially
right?
those school loans.
Because they compound. People don't understand the effect of compounding interest. Albert Einstein says it's the eighth wonder of the world. Those who understand it will earn it, but those who don't will pay it. And we've been paying compounding interest all of our lives. Student loans, credit cards, car, and we just don't understand how does that compound when we don't understand how they work, right? So again, you should have budget, right? Living within your means, having emergency funds, right? Your savings, 3 to 6 months. Then you can invest, right? Whether it's short term, long term. You need to have short term goal, financial, and long term. And some of us, most of us, we're just living. We're just sailing with no direction. You need to have a goal. You need to have a direction to where you want to take your life.
Or some people are looking for quick ways, like quick ways to get money. It's advertised quick ways to get $10,000 and get rich within 6 months or 3 months. Do you think that's possible?
No. Anything that looks too good to be true, it is not. Yeah. So run away from those get rich quick scheme, right? Wealth is built over time. Financial freedom is built over time. So again, slow and steady. You can get out of debt. You can have that savings and start investing. Slow and steady. Again, remember, you're not behind. I know you can be feeling overwhelmed. You're not behind. You're just getting started.
I love that.
Okay.
And I think that's a great way to end out this episode.
God.
I don't want to end it because this is so good. This is so good. And I just have so much more questions, but unfortunately we have to end it. Maybe we'll have a part 2.
We'll have a part 2. Yeah.
Maybe we'll have a part 2.
Yeah, based on the comments. So, comments, or if they can post questions and we can come back and answer them.
So you guys, you know what that means. Like this episode if you enjoyed it. And I believe you will enjoy this episode. This is on money.
Yes.
This is about getting your money right.
Yes.
So please tune in, share this video, drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you're struggling with or any questions, concerns that you may have. And share the live. Share. And thank you so much, Daniela.
My pleasure.
For coming to be a part and be a guest on this podcast.
Absolutely. Anytime.
So
Again,
appreciated.
Look forward to a part 2 or dive in. Maybe we'll just look at budget, how to build an effective budget. So maybe we'll focus on 1 or 2 things that really help your community. So again, it was an honor. Thank you for the invite.
And thank you.
And I look forward for more.
Yes.
Okay.
So does that sound like a part 2? I think it does. Thank you guys. Thank you. And thank you again, Daniela. This was a wonderful episode, you guys. And stay tuned, you guys, for the next episode of the Choose Hearth podcast.